You are looking live at Darrell Hartley at the Better Call Darrell podcast, high atop the Radiotherapy Network. Good Friday evening to you. Yes, Friday evening. You are probably out and about or you firmly ensconced in your home. But guess what? You are here with me, and I'm here with you. It's been a wonderful Friday. It's been a wonderful time today. And although we may all be fatigued on some level, guess what? We're all here together. We're going to have a good time tonight. Tonight, we're going to just talk about some things that happened along the course of counseling, some feedback from some people from the council mailbag, a lot of different things tonight. Won't hold you too long. Just get some information out there that may just really tantalize the mind. And that's what counseling and therapy is all about, allowing you to redirect your past so new beginnings can actually place you in a position of optimum success. New beginnings. Please share the information on the Better Call Darrell page and the Better Call Darrell podcast. Your sharing will not have people glaring. It'll have people glad. Today is a wonderful time for all of us, whether you be in the Dallas area, whether you be somewhere around the globe. We're here to accept and love and embrace you and demonstrate to you that living's not enough. You got to know how to live. Again, please share the information on the Better Call Darrell page. That is facebook.com/BetterCallDarrell. That is my phone number, area code 469-557-2127, 469-557-2127. Website, www.bettercalldarrell.com. That's www.bettercalldarrell.com. Isn't it a wonderful time today? It's a wonderful time certainly to be alive, but it's also a wonderful time to share information.
Speaking of sharing, Darrell, from
Yes.
the producer.
Hey, my producer's talking, so we got to listen. Go ahead, Terrence J.
From the producer.
Yes.
Share it. Everybody right now is watching on the Better Call Darrell page, so Darrell right now is going to share with you guys back to his personal page so you can watch it on both of them. So, Darrell, while you're letting these great people that are watching this show tell them to share, I need you to share it back to your personal page so we can get everybody watching.
So I'm going to,
Darrell.
click this button here that says watch live video, and I'm doing that right now. See, you see, when you pay attention, y'all, you learn things. When you don't pay attention, the learning curve is warped, it's slanted, it's tilted, it's those things. How have you been since we last talked? I'm really thinking about sharing this breaking news. So I picked up a couple sponsors in the last week or so. Balliol Business Services in Denison, Texas. And there are some wonderful people. They provide notary services. They provide signing agents. They do a whole bunch of different things to make sure that those people in that community, and even if you live in a place called Dallas or Carrollton or Farmers Branch or the colonies, somewhere you can still connect with them. The other one is the Boys and Girls Club of Denison. These are some wonderful people, and it's a dual partnership. We provide refurbished computers for them. Refurbished computers for them. For the children that are there, those who don't have any computers, at the Boys and Girls Club, you can go down there and you can get on the computer. And sometimes, if we have something extra, we can designate a computer 2 or 3 to a child or a family that doesn't have one. See, blessings are all around. And blessings are because when you do what you're supposed to do, God says, I honor those who honor me. And so we do our very best to glorify and honor who the Lord our God says that he is. He's Father, God, Creator, and Lord of us all. Out of the mailbag, get right to it. I'm just throw it out here and expound on a little bit of what I've come across. And this first thing out of the mailbag is the Better Call Darrell podcast mailbag. There's going to be an address and in sequence, a telephone number attached to that, and we'll get to that towards the end of the show. But I want to let you guys know that the information that is provided here is real-time information. You may not hear the person's name, but here's a scenario of what occurred. It says, Counselor Hartley, you made a life-changing statement during counseling for me today. You said, you don't have to feel hopeful about the future. It's enough just to be curious about what is actually on the way for you. The person says, I can't even describe how mind-blowing that one sentence was. Well, I'm not here to astound anyone, not anyone to blow anyone's mind. I'm here to give you real-time information that's going to be best suited for you to have a clean slate and a fresh start in your life. Often, people are ensnared by what has happened, and I call them shadows of the past. The shadows of the past keep the person down. It's the equivalent of the crab in the bucket mentality. The crab is trying to leave the bucket while the other crabs are pulling them back down. The same thing in the shadows of the past. Your past is still saying you're no good, you're not worthy, you're never going to be anything. There's a scene in The Five Heartbeats where the father's telling the son, Eddie Kane Jr., that his father wasn't anything, he wasn't anything, and then Eddie Kane Jr. was not going to be anything. And it almost bode well and true for Eddie Kane Jr. until he understood that thing that alcoholics call a moment of clarity, that he came together and said, I can't live this way. You hear me say it at the outset of the program. Living's not enough. You have to know how to live. So let me break down this information that this wonderful person said to me. She says, my counselor made a life-changing statement during counseling today. She said that I said, you don't have to feel hopeful about the future. It's enough to be satisfied about what is coming. Darkness into light. Light will always, always, always overwhelm darkness. Always. When you turn the lights out, it's dark, right? And normally you got the lights out, you're trying to sleep or you're trying to do other things from a nocturnal standpoint. Nocturnal is night. So that's what you're trying to do. When you turn those lights on, right, and hopefully you don't have these little scary little creatures called roaches and rats and things. They scary. They get out the way because they don't want to be seen. You know, they are nocturnal. They deal in the dark, okay? So we are people who deal in the light. And the light is that the truth has to be the best thing that you know. When you understand that the truth is the best thing that you know, you don't ever have to remember what you said when you tell the truth. You don't ever have to remember what you said when you tell the truth. The truth has to be the best thing that you know. When it's the best thing that you know, if somebody asks you the same question a different way, you're still going to get the same answer because you're telling the truth, right? So when you're hopeful about the future, guess what? It goes line in line with Jeremiah 29:11-14. And the basic premise is there, I, meaning God, says he has a future and a hope for all of us. Not just you, not just him, not just her, all of us. But it's up to us to buy into what he said. When the Lord says he has a future and a hope for us, something that is good and not evil, man, I mean, can't you buy into that? So when other people make promises and guarantees to you and they don't come to fruition, you're sad, you get upset, you get disheartened, you want to go looking for the brother or sister. But when God says, and you can count on it, you can stand on his promises and guarantees. You can stand on his promises and guarantees. You don't have to feel hopeful about the future because it's enough to know that it's coming. Your future's now. The shadows of the past are gone. All we have is now. And whatever the future equates that to be, guess what? That's the added bonus of who God is and what he says he's going to do. When people say how mind-blowing something is, it's because they haven't taken the time to settle in and think about how it's really going to be of benefit to them. We've had so many things that are detrimental to us, But when something is really connecting to us, where we can really elevate the plateaus that we've never even envisioned, that's what's up, as young people love to say. That's what's up, that's what's real, that's what's now. And when we know that it's now, the blessings just start overflowing every single. We could actually truly be present and serve and support those who weren't able to do so before that time. So a person says they can't even describe how mind-blowing the sentence was, is because now that they have the real-time, time-sensitive information. I said real-time, time-sensitive. You have to act now on the information. You have to act now to place yourself in that position where the accomplishments and achievements that you've been striving for most all of your life, they start to come to fruition. They happen now. When you feel hopeful about the future, great things come for you, right? Not just a better job, but the job. Not just greater money, money. Not just the best house, the house, right? So the other day, the news was on, and there was a Powerball winner. $700 million. $700 million, right? What could you do with $700 million? So I had a discussion with some other colleagues, and they said, they would do this, they would do that. Some of it was some good stuff that they want to do. They want to do some humanitarian relief. They want to be benefactors for the family. They want to do something for their city. They want to do something for their state. They want to be very good stewards with what they have, right? So is the lotto gambling? Well, I mean, you could say it's not, and you could say it is, right? But if you have $700 million and after taxes, well, it's like if you live in Texas, there's no state tax, but there's federal tax. They're going to say, we need to holler at you, right? So once they take what they need, you still have enough to live generations and your family, generations, and that family, generations, right? Because once you're gone, you don't have any say on how they're going to allocate funds, in your family. So what is the blessing? The blessing is that if you are a good steward and you know how to fellowship and you are a soul winner, all those other wonderful things that I've just talked about previously, they will occur for you. That would blow your mind. That will place yourself in a position where you can ultimately succeed beyond succeeding. If you've been in counseling, you understand that often your counselor can provide some wonderful wisdom to you that that will be part of your life for as long as you live. You may not agree, but you'll embrace it at some point because you know it's real. You know it's the truth. And if that hasn't occurred for you as of now, a lot of other people become in a position to be in the habit of passing these life-changing opportunities and wisdom, these idioms, all the way to somebody else. Why? It may not have been for them then, but they can sure pass it on to somebody else. And I'll tell you what, when you get counseling and therapy, because it's interchangeable, the counselor and the therapist is interchangeable often, and so are the words, you'll find that you become a brilliant person just by digging into what was said to you and what you learned, that you can teach others. Facilitating change, or as I like to say, being a change agent, is a big deal if that's what you allow yourself to do. Counselors can teach you how to interrupt anxious thinking. Then sometimes we call that stinking thinking, right? It's always what I can't do and what Jimmy and Jane are doing. What are you doing to implement change in your life? What are you doing to put yourself in a positive position to succeed? What are you doing to stop the crab in the bucket mentality? What are you doing to transform like the cucumber to the pickle. Did you guys know that? Did you know that the cucumber in brine becomes a pickle? There's a transformation. Like the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. There's transformation. There's metamorphosis in those things. How do you metamorphosize in your life? So when the counselor's passing on to you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, to allow you to pull the lever and place yourself where you become the person who transforms, man, that's some epic stuff. That's profound. And I would recommend that you find yourself a way to connect to being epic, dynamic, and profound. We're not here to astound you. We're not here to blow your mind. We're here to open up some areas that you hadn't seen that you could actually connect the dots with. I think I believe going forward, that if you do that, your life will be more pristine and a better model for others who enter your presence. If people expect and want you to make plans, right, because they don't want to do the work. See, I am here to allow you to start thinking for yourselves, right? If you don't think for yourselves, who's going to think for you, right? In Scripture, there was a king. And as long as the priest was alive, the king was fine. But when the priest died, the king didn't know what to do. He had all kinds of poor counsel, which was actually advice. Remember, advice is suspect, counsel is proven, right? And that's what happens with some of us. As long as somebody that we trust is feeding us this information, we're good. But when they pass on, or they're no longer in our lives, we don't know what to do because we didn't have to think for ourselves. Counsel and therapy is about thinking for yourself. Because if you don't think for yourself, you got other people thinking for you and making decisions that are detrimental to your life. Here's a plan for you. You can make your life work when you're prepared to do so, right? So, the sacred scriptures teach us that the lifespan of man is 70 years, 80 for strength, which also means that anything else is extra, right? So, there are people still going to school receiving their degrees and they're 70, 80, 90, 100 years of age. There are people still making transitional lifetime decisions for things that are positive in their lives because they've learned to leave the shadows of the past behind them, leave them alone. The scriptures teach us, resist the enemy and he'll flee from you. That's part of the shadows of the past, telling you what you're not, who you're not going to be, what you can't do, those things. And some of the worst people to tell you that is your family. You're not this. Your daddy wasn't, your mama wasn't, your dog, all of that. People tell you what you're not. Why? Because they have not challenged themselves to go and get a certificate of completion somewhere, to find themselves in a classroom to learn, whether it be at a brick and mortar or online. They haven't found themselves there because they would much rather watch somebody else work on television. They much rather watch the Kelly Clarkson show or those types of things. People who incidentally have a job while you're sitting at home, maybe getting a check with a certain amount on it, and then you get mad that the check is that much. Well, I'm only making this much. Yeah, because that's what you're settling for. Because you continue to allow the shadows of the past to beat you down. Well, we're here today to let you know that although you may feel that you're defective and you're indecent, you're not. Because seriously, our prime directive in life has to be taking care of ourselves, no matter what the cost is to us. Let me say it again. Our primary directive is to take care of us, no matter what the cost is. That's called paying the price. The people who have cried, who have bled, who have sweated, who have passed on, they paid the price. You can do this. You can conclude from your last session of what was and what is, but you bring fresh awareness into what is. Although you can be pleased with your progress, the best remains to be seen. The very best remains to be seen. You have to be proud of who you are and disconnect from the past. This is a portion of your pilgrimage, not your final resting place. If you understand that, what goes into the mind space here is, I'm better off doing greater things. But if you don't believe that, what happens is this. You can't see the forest or the trees. I remember People Bryson had a song, and one of the lyrics was, I can't see the forest or the trees. When I was younger, I thought he said, I can't see the forest for the trees, which could be true too. You can't see the forest because all the trees are in the way. But let me read something to you. And this goes along with people who can't see. Hebrews 11:1-2 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. By it the elders, us, had a good report. When you can't see something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist or it's not there. Just because you can't see God doesn't mean he's not there. Because he is. And I love to tell people, often people come into a counselor or a therapist's presence, like mine, they come to my practice, and they think they know exactly what they want until they sit down and find out that what they thought they wanted was not what they wanted, needed, or desired at all. So let me read something to you that I came up with. When people believe that help doesn't work, they're incorrect. But there's a difference between help and assistance. Help is, I need you now. Assistance is, I can provide you resources that can help you connect the dots to get to where you couldn't be. Not where you should be, where you can be. Remember, there's help and there's assistance. They sound similar, but they're not equal. Now is not the time to think about later. Now is the time to think about now. All we have is now, wonderful people. All we have is now. We don't have to live in anticipation. We live now. Because the scriptures teach us not to be anxious for anything. So when we live in anticipation, that means we're being anxious. And when anxious doesn't happen, we become angry. And we become angry, now our lives become discombobulated. That's not what we need. What we need is continue to stand on the promises and guarantees of God for that future and that hope. We might say to ourselves, this is irrational. Why am I even placing myself in this position? Because with hope comes relief. And when relief comes, you feel soothed, you feel better, and you can get well. I want you to understand these things too. You don't have to be perfect to be all right. If somebody tells you that you do, that is misinformation. You don't have to be perfect to be all right. It is all right to make errors. Yes, it is. Because to err is to be human and mortal. If we all had it together, we wouldn't be here doing the Better Call Darrell podcast. High top radiotherapy. Nope. The radiotherapy network is wonderful. But we certainly be somewhere else beyond the radiotherapy network with the Better Call Darrell podcast. You can reach me at area code 469-557-2127, 557-2127. Email is, ready? I know y'all looking at me. The email is Counselor Darrell Hartley at mail.com. Counselor Darrell Hartley at mail.com. For Better Call Darrell, it's return to duty at bettercalldarrell.com. Return to duty at bettercalldarrell.com. And the website, of course, is www.bettercalldarrell.com, www.bettercalldarrell.com. I enjoy my work as a counselor, as a chaplain, as a medical legal professional consultant. I love going into courts and testifying on alcohol, addiction, chemical dependency. I love going in and talking to people about the biblical premise of how we connect ourselves and apply scripture to our lives. I enjoy doing that because I too was a person who was searching for answers. So, let's review real quick. You don't have to be perfect to be all right. It's all right to make errors. And you also have to take risks in your life to be free of the shadows of the past. You say, oh, it doesn't work, and the purple, I've been burned and scorched and hurt so much. Join the club. We all have. But I can tell you, out of all of that, when you break free of what has ensnared you, because you took the risk, you took the opportunity to break away, now you're free. You know, like somebody owes you money. You know, who owes you money? Because people owe you money, and they think they can go in the witness protection program to get away from you, or change, the area codes or the zip code. One day they're going to cross your path. And they mean, I'll get you next week. It's been 10 years, but I got you next week. They had they have no intention of paying you. Guess what? Theoretically, hypothetically, literally, figuratively, you own them. You let it go. Because apparently they needed it more than you ever could. And God has given that back to you 7, 24, 49-fold. So leave it alone. You can handle being incorrect on some levels. You don't know everything. I don't know everything, but I strive to learn. And if I don't know an answer and you ask me, guess what? We're going to find out together. There's no shame in not knowing everything. Otherwise, you'd have Jeopardy champions every week. Nobody would ever get an answer wrong. Well, we know that's not true. The jeopardy you can place yourself in is when you don't do exactly what 2 Timothy 2:15 says. Study to show yourself approved before God. A workman, us, need never to be ashamed in rightfully dividing the word of truth. Study to show yourselves approved before God. A workman, us, need never be ashamed in rightfully dividing the word of truth. A person may say, I've done the best that I can. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Because there's another piece that goes along with that. I've done the best I can with what I have. And where does that come from? Well, some of us grew up in chaotic, dysfunctional, mayhem-filled, toxic homes and environments. Horrible things occurred. I understand. I do. Some things are just unmentionable that have occurred to people. But it's up to the person to put that aside and trust God. You ever heard the phrase, trust the process? Trust God. God is the process. God will clean you. God will restore you. He will redeem you. He will place you in a position that it was like it never happened. God says that He changes not. He also says that He will blot out your sins and transgressions, right? Why can't we do it? Because we still want to get even with people. We still want to show people what's happening. We want to move some weight and handle some business. We want to tell people what we know. No, that's not our position. It shouldn't be in our positions in life. So, let's do this. If you've been in counseling, you know that there are some things that ultimately will happen to you that are game changers. And then some things you're still stuck on. You're still stuck on the fact that, your landlord made you pay double rent, even though you only had to pay rent one time. And if you didn't pay the double rent, you're going to get expelled or evicted from your home. I will say this, though. What happens when all of your hard work pays off? What happens when patience and perseverance pays off? What happens? You get a blessing. So then that blessing is passed on to whomever and wherever you are, because now it's going to be able to bless somebody else. So when you're able to bless somebody else, true friendships and fellowships occur because you're all in. The blessing of God is because he's all in with us, let us now consider being all in with him. The person says, where was your God when I was naked? Not naked, naked. When I was naked. What was your God when I was homeless? What was your God when I didn't have any food? What was your... He was there. Well, how you know? Because you're telling me about it. Because God could have went poof and you wouldn't have a testimony, right? So come out of Egypt, come out of Assyria, come out of Babylon, come out of Rome, come out of Persia, come out of Greece. Elevate from where you are. And I can promise and guarantee you, when you do that, no matter who people are or where they are or what they've done, God is the boss and he pays the cost. My name is Darrell Hartley. I am high atop Radiotherapy Network at the Better Call Darrell podcast. You can reach me at area code 469-557-2127, 469-557-2127. Email Counselor Darrell Hartley at mail.com. Return to duty at bettercalldarrell.com. That's return to duty at bettercalldarrell.com. And of course the website, www.bettercalldarrell.com. BetterCallDarrell.com is www.bettercalldarrell.com. It's such a wonderful thing, to have my producer hanging out in the studio with me, putting up with me, but, that's how we roll. That's how we get out. And for us not to flash on you, we love you. We thank you for watching our program and viewing. Please share. Please share. And I'm hope to tell you here soon of the other sponsors that will come alongside because they really have bought into what Better Call Darrell does. Remember, www.bettercalldarrell.com, www.bettercalldarrell.com, and the telephone number is 469-557-2127, 469-557-2127. We're located at 5566 Main Street, Suite 207. That's Frisco, Texas, 75028. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for participating. God bless and keep you.